welcome to Dyna Demos. I'm Rod.
I'm Lego, and today we're going to be showing you how to install a gauge relocation kit. So the gauge pods that we have are made by kit.sul along with the block off plate, and the harness is made by Gorilla Cables.
Alright guys, so the reason we're doing this is because when we're cruising down the road, after you do a T-bar setup, get rid of those ugly stock bars, is because no one wants to be cruising down the road looking down at their gauges. Alright, I like to see how fast I'm going. I don't like to take my eyes off the road. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these gauges right here. If you come around here, take these gauges, alright, and using the kit.sul kit and the Gorilla Cables wire harness, we're going to extend it up here. That way you don't have to take your eyes off the road. You can keep it on the road and just look at the gauges up here instead of looking down here. So the first thing we're going to do is disconnect electrical power, but before we do that, obviously we got to take off the seat to get to the harnesses. Then we're going to come around here to the battery box. Now that electrical power is disconnected, we can start the job. All right, now that I got electrical power disconnected, I'm gonna take a 3/16 Allen wrench and I'm going to take off the dash. All right, so I'm gonna take off these three screws or bolts, and then we'll go from there. So now that I got the bolts off the dash, I'm gonna turn it over like this. All right, you can see here I got some electrical connectors. So what I'm gonna do is, these are plastic, so be careful with them, is I'm going to unhook them and I'm gonna pull them out. All right, so that one was the one for the RPM, and this is the one for the actual speedo.
And you can't mess it up because they got slots on them, so it's impossible to put the wrong one in the wrong place.
All right, now we're going to take this over to the workbench and we're going to take the gauges out.
Alright guys, so we're gonna finish disconnecting the old harness. So right here, you got this sensor. You're gonna need to reuse this. So same thing, just disconnect it. Make sure you hold on to this because you're gonna reuse it on the old one, alright? So just put it somewhere. Alright, then you're gonna disconnect this right here. So simple, plastic, make sure you're careful so you don't break it. And you're completely disconnected from the top now. So I'm gonna thread this through here. All right, and now I'm gonna disconnect the harness completely. So I take out the rubber grommet, really easy to get out. And then I need to pull this out, and it's one connection, really simple. And all you do is press down on the tab and it unplugs. So this is your old harness, and you can see for my 13-inch bars, this harness isn't going to be long enough to reach the gauges. All right guys, so this right here is the Gorilla Cables harness, and right here I got the stock harness, so you can see the difference. I mean, I'm using 13-inch bars, and these could probably go up to like 15 or something like that, you know. So the one thing that we're gonna have to do with this new harness is we're gonna have to end up depinning these and then repinning them, because right here on our kit.sul gauge pods, you got these holes that this connector on the Gorilla Cables is not gonna be able to fit through that hole. So we're gonna have to depin it, run it through there, and then repin. All right guys, so that sensor that we took off the stock harness, you're gonna put it on the new Gorilla Cable harness. So in order to do that, just slide it in there, and now you don't gotta worry about it. Okay, so on the left side, the black connector, this right here is gonna be for your speedometer, and this side over here, the darker gray, this is gonna be for your RPMs. So I've never depinned anything in my life, and this is the way that I do it. There's an actual depin tool that you'll use, but I'm gonna show you the way that I do it, okay? And you don't need to worry about all the wires and where they go, because you can just refer back to your old harness in order to figure out what wire goes where. But we got a green and black, far right, then we got a white and black, white and yellow, then we got a red, and then we got a red and white on bottom, okay? So make sure you take note of that before you start ripping these apart if you didn't keep your old harness for some reason. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take a really small flathead. I'm gonna take this white lock out of the way. I'm gonna pull the connector off, and then I'm gonna take a really, really small Allen key, and I'm gonna start pushing the pins out. So like you're saying, there's an actual tool for doing this. I've never used it. This is the way that I do it. So now that we got the connector off, we can actually fit all the wires through the gauge pods. So I'm gonna do that now. I like to put my speedometer on the left side. You can do whatever you want, but I like to put it on the left side. So I'm just gonna run these wires through here. And now that they're through, I'm gonna repin this. And like I said, you can just refer back to your old harness and the wires are the same, so you won't get mixed up. Okay, so now I'm gonna install the Gorilla Cables connector back through the wires are through the kit.sul harness now, or the kit.sul speedometer bracket, excuse me. So I'm gonna take the green and black, it's gonna go to the far right on the top. I'm gonna put it through there. And then I'm gonna take white and black, put it through there. And then I'm gonna take yellow and black, put it through there. So you can see those are all on the top part. So directly below the white and black, I'm gonna take the white and the red wire. I'm gonna put it through the connector. And then the last one you have is this red wire. Goes in the last hole. So now that you have that, you want to make sure you push the wires all the way through so your connectors are flush at the top of that plastic piece. Be careful not to bend these when you're pushing them through. Sometimes plastic gets in the way, so you got to move it out of the way. Okay, now that you got them all the way through, you can install the connector. So you can't mess this up because there's a little piece right here that slides in, so you're not gonna mess it up. You put that through, and then make sure all your wires are pushed up, and if you can see in there, you wanna make sure that you can see the metal pieces right there. And then the last thing you gotta do is you gotta take this plastic piece again, and you're gonna thread it through there, and that's gonna lock all your connectors in place. So we're gonna repeat the same steps on the RPM side. All right guys, so now we're on the RPM gauge side. So same thing, I don't have that pinning kit, or the depinning tool, so I'm using a flathead from a jeweler's kit. So a really small flathead. I'm gonna pop the little lock out of the way. I'm gonna take the connector off. I'm gonna take the Allen key from the jeweler's kit. I'm gonna start pushing these out. The same thing, you can refer to your stock harness, or just make sure you remember what wire goes where. Okay, so now I'm gonna take all the wires, because we took the connector off, I'm gonna run them through the gauge pods. And now I'm gonna put the connector back on. So I'm just gonna refer to the old harness so I know where everything goes. So I got the connector right here. I'm gonna put green, top right. Make sure you pull enough slack through. Then I got my white and black, it's gonna go directly next to it. Then white and red underneath. Then I'm gonna take the red one and put it into the last hole. And the same thing, make sure you push the connectors all the way through so they're flush. So when you put the connectors on, it's making a good connection. So they're through. Push them back down a little bit so they're flush. Again, there's probably a better way to do this, but this is how I'm doing it because I don't have the proper tools for it. All right, same thing, you're gonna put the dark gray connector back on. You can't mess it up because you got the slots right here that will prevent you from putting it on the wrong way. So I'm gonna do that. And then make sure your connectors are all the way up to where they should be. And then you take your blue lock and you thread it back through. And now we're good to put the gauges into the gauge pods. Okay, so again, the left side, this black connector right here is for your speedometer. And I like my speedometer on the left side, so all I'm gonna do is connect it. Make sure the tabs get locked into place, and then there you go. So now all I'm gonna do is make sure this is centered up and down. Put it in there. Make sure, I almost forgot this, make sure that you have your gaskets on the back of this so no water gets in there, right? Your rubber gaskets. They could get stuck onto your dash, so just make sure you still have your rubber gasket there. And then we're gonna do your RPM gauge side. So same thing, RPMs right here. I'm gonna connect it. Push it down in there. Make sure you got that rubber gasket on it. And there you go. All right guys, so now that we got our gauges inside of the dual gauge pods and they're connected, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna install this bracket and get ready to install it on our T-bars. So all you do, take this bracket, you got 2 Allen keys right here, Allen key bolts, put them through. And now we're ready to install it on the bike. All right guys, so now we're gonna install the gauge pods on the T-bars. So you can put these up as far or as low as you want them. I like putting mine pretty high, and I already had these installed, so I actually have marks where they already were. So I'm just gonna take the harness and I'm just gonna put it off to the side for now. You don't need it for anything. So get these to where you want them. I had them about right there. And I'm gonna take this bracket, and it has 2 Allen key bolts, and all you do is you thread it on this side and it sandwiches it onto your bars. All right guys, so now that we got our gauge pods installed, I'm gonna show you how to route the wire and then install your dash. And the last thing that we'll have to do is make the big connection and then close everything up, all right? So what I like to do is I like to route mine through the center of the T-bar. So I'm just gonna grab all the harness, put it back through here, and I'm gonna route it through here with all my other wires. And try not to destroy everything on the way. Okay, so now that that's peeking through, your big connection has to go back through that grommet. So you're gonna leave that dangling off to there. These wires though, they're gonna go underneath your dash. So right here, you're gonna make this connection again. Got that. And now this wire, what I like to do with this one, because I didn't know where else to put it, I just wrapped it around these. Okay, so once you get the wires how you want them, all we're gonna do now is install the dash. So I got the wires wrapped around here to where I want them, because all these wires aren't gonna be able to be seen when you install the dash. So I got my dash right here. I'm gonna put it back. The wires are gonna have to run through the opening right here. So be careful when you're putting your dash on. You don't want to scratch your tank. I'm gonna put it like that. All right. Now we're gonna get the block off plate that you put over here. So now I got the kit.sul block off plate. That's gonna cover your gauges right here. All right, and all you do is line them up, then you install these Allen key bolts. And then the last thing, I'm gonna do the bottom dash bolt. There's only 3 bolts that hold on your dash. Make sure you got a good seal all the way around. And I'm happy with that. All right guys, so this is gonna be the last piece to the puzzle. This is the only thing that we have to do left is make the connection and then stuff the wires back in here. Probably the hardest part of this job for me was actually getting this grommet reinstalled and all the wires back inside the neck of the frame. That was probably the hardest part. So after you finish that, you want to make sure you turn your bars both ways and make sure you have full travel when turning your bars, because limiting your travel, you're not gonna be able to turn, you'll get caught or something. So you wanna do that a couple times, just turn your bars full left, full right. Make sure you still have full travel, very important. We reinstalled the battery, reinstalled the seat, and now the only thing left to do is make sure it all works. So I'm gonna turn my bike on. The gauges work and we're not getting any weird lights. So there we go, I'm gonna fire this thing up.
Alright guys, that's going to do it for the gauge mount install and the Gorilla Cable harness. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, I'm Rod.
I'm Lego, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Gorilla Cables and kit.sul for making awesome products. I hated looking down at my gauges like Rod said, and now that they're in front of me, I feel safer when I'm riding. I don't gotta look down at my speed, it's just right there. Links to all the products we use are gonna be in the description. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.